I want to talk to you more about just the real estate side of that entitlement. She was talking to you more about the loan side. The VA loan is one of the most powerful products on the market, right? Because you, again, as she said, you can get into the VA loan, no money down, no closing costs. If you're 10% service connected, no funding fee added there. So literally, if you want the dream of home ownership, there's really no reason that you can't achieve that, right? So there's a lot of opportunities. We can kind of definitely work with you to achieve that goal of home ownership. So I'll talk to you a little bit about just the Las Vegas market, right? So when Raider Stadium was coming here, they was like, oh man, Vegas is about to turn into California, so expensive, right? Then we had that thing called COVID, and it kind of transitioned. So housing did get more expensive, but it's still relatively okay here in the Las Vegas market. So we have a lot of new businesses moving here, sports teams, of course, and new hotels. So that's very good sign that Las Vegas is in a really powerful state, real estate wise. Okay, so now when we're talking about buying a home, median home price is about $425,000. So let me unpack that for you. Okay, so when we're talking about that home price there, they're basically saying if you're looking to get a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom property built, more recently, 2010 and up, that's about what you expect to pay if you want to live in the Southwest here, which is a nicer area, right? So if you want to get a townhouse or a condo, it can be a lot lower than that. If you want to go a little bit more further out, Clark County is very large. You can go all the way up to Mesquite. You could be in North Las Vegas, different places. You can get a lot more affordable housing that way. Okay, so there's a lot of opportunities just depending on your budget and the style of home that you're looking for. There's roughly about 4,000 homes on the market right now. So, and about 2,000 homes sell a month, right? So if you listen to the news right now, they'll tell you, no, don't buy a home. It's the worst time ever. And now let's think back to COVID, but even before that, 2008, right? How many people wish they would have bought a house 09, 10, 11, 12, right? Everybody was fearful, right? And a lot of people are fearful right now. So you want to think about that when you're making your different decisions. Like, well, then nobody wanted to touch real estate. Nobody wants to touch real estate right now. So I might want to follow, a different train there, right? Because when they told me that before, I missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? So, because you can pretty much get into a house for next to nothing as far as your down payment costs, when you're thinking about affordability, you have to live somewhere. So if you can get a property at the amount that you're paying for rent, then you're golden, So as long as if you're paying, $1,700 a month for rent, let's find you a property in that same range. And then now you have no issues there. Okay. So, and again, if you're selling a house, now could be a good time as well, because again, about 2,000 homes are selling per month. So that means, roughly about 50-something days on market to sell a home. So they sold us the American dream as far as home ownership, but also I want you guys to look at it as a wealth building tool, okay? Especially as a veteran, where you could utilize that VA loan more than one time. One of the things that I've done myself, I'm not a veteran, but if I was, it would be even better, right? Because I can get a house 0 down. But that resource can really be a wealth building tool. I was able to use the low down payment options of putting 3% and 5% down to purchase real estate. You guys could do that with 0%. Moving a house, like Rachel said, you're supposed to live in it a year and a day. You could convert that to a rental, get another property, and get another property and another property, and continue to do that. And by the time you move out of that first property, now rental rates went up. So now you're not only building equity in that property, but you're also making extra monthly compensation, right? That's going to be able to add to your monthly income. Okay, so definitely a lot of different benefits there. So you definitely want to consider that when you are purchasing a home. and looking at that and really kind of seizing this opportunity in these uncertain times that I mentioned, right? When everybody else is afraid, look at the opportunity. I consider myself a real estate investment advisor, so I'm looking for all different types of out-of-the-box ways to help you guys purchase real estate, sell real estate. We're not just looking at the homes on the market. I work with a lot of wholesalers to see what the house they're flipping and get you guys directly into those homes. We're actually starting to flip homes for veterans ourselves, so buy rehab properties and put veteran into those homes, and also doing some initiatives with homeless veterans as well to get them into low-income properties and help them with get their benefits as well. Because, as Kenneth just mentioned a lot earlier, there's no reason for a veteran to be homeless if you have these different benefits and entitlements, right? So we're combining that part with also housing, and some of our more affluent veterans could come in on the investment side and invest into the real estate, and we could teach you guys how to do that so that you guys have different opportunities to help veterans and also help yourself and just really build that ecosystem, okay, and seizing those different opportunities, which is going to be a wonderful thing here. So now when we're talking about buying a home in Las Vegas, what you should consider, definitely looking at your budget. Now, a lot of times people look at that loan qualification and think, oh, I can afford that amount. Don't do it that way, because usually when you're getting qualified for a loan, you probably paid off all your credit cards. You may not have an auto loan, different things like that. And as soon as that house closes, you decide you're going to go buy a new car, right? So that budget completely change, right? So factor all of those things when you're doing your home purchase, okay? Look at your real life expenses. Maybe you have a child that's going to be going to college. You're going to be paying for that. That's going to be an expense that mortgage lender did not account for, okay? So account for all those different what-if factors and scenarios that come in your life, not just what the lender tells you on that top approval letter, okay? So with that median home price being about $425, as I mentioned, I like to have people stay under $600,000, because the closer you are or lower than the median, the more your house can appreciate in equity, right? Because as Vegas continues to grow, if you're able to get a house for $200,000 right now, in 5, 10, 15 years, it's only going to go up. It's only going to go up, whatever part of town. Vegas is a very new and vibrant city, right? Compared to California and other places, it's very hard to find many properties that are 50 years old, let alone 100 years old, and different things like that. Most things are 20 and 30 years old, and which, as you just kind of mentioned, at that 20-year mark, you have to start being very sensitive to repairs, because if it's within 20 or 30 years, does it need a new roof? Has the AC been replaced? And all those different things, right? So right now, if you're looking to buy a property, you want to pay close attention to that, because there's a lot of people offloading properties in between that 15 and 25-year mark, because AC is breaking down, it needs a new roof, that sun is banging on that, and they're not looking to do any of those repairs, so they're going to pass that to you. You're excited to get this new property, and then you have to worry about all of that, okay? So definitely consider all that when you're looking at the budget, your housing preferences, as well as location. Location is very important. We're in the Southwest here, right off the 215. Of course, this is a very desirable area, right? If you get some real estate over here, that's pretty golden, and just kind of looking at that. And also, when you're working with different real estate professionals, make sure they understand that, right? When you're getting advice from the news and advice from, people out of state, they don't understand that West Russell and East Russell is two totally different places. You go on the other side of Boulder Highway, it looks a lot different, right? So they don't know that, right? They don't know that, but you know that because you're here. Make sure you're working with experts to know those different things as well, okay? All right, so if you're looking to sell a home here in Vegas, again, like I just mentioned, make sure you hire a knowledgeable professional, and also consider all financing options for that potential buyer. Something that Rachel had on there is that your VA loan is assumable, okay? So what that means, that's an advantage for you as a buyer, and also advantage for you if you're selling a property. Why? Because it casts a wider net of people that could buy that property, because now they potentially do not have to deal with that market interest rate. They could assume your interest rate that may be 3 or 4%. That means they could qualify for a lot more home, and that situation there, okay? So definitely utilize that. Typically, if you're going to allow somebody to assume your mortgage, if they're a veteran, their entitlement takes over. But if you have a non-veteran, they could assume the loan as well, but they'll still have your entitlement. So keep a mind of that, right? So, and then also if you're at your retirement stages, right? And let's say the home is paid off or nearly paid off. Well, you might want to say, hey, you know what? I don't need this big lump sum of money in the bank right now, but I want to sell this property. Maybe I could go ahead and do seller financing here, right? Opens up the door for a lot of individuals if you're able to do seller financing, because the person doesn't have to qualify for those traditional loan standards. You know, maybe they have a whole bunch of money in a shoebox somewhere, but they don't have the 2 years job history or something along those lines. So cast that net as wide as possible when you're trying to sell your property, okay? And also price the home based on the current market. Price it appropriately, okay? Yesterday's price is not today's price. I know we heard 2021 people was getting 50,000, 100,000 over asking and that sort of thing. So the market has changed. So definitely think about that. Yes.
Question: when you sell it, do you include improvements to your home, like new fencing, new, built a fire pit in my yard, stuff like that? Does that increase the value of the home?
Yeah.
The new piping system, the new floors.
Absolutely. So there's different, So because basically what you're doing when you remodel a property, you're extending the useful life of that home. Okay, so a home useful life, when they're doing it with appraisals, and I won't get into all of that, but let a licensed appraiser explain it to you. But a home useful life is about 50 years, okay? So the total useful life of a property when they depreciate that property, okay? So when you remodel different things in a property, it extends that useful life of the home, okay? So
hypothetically speaking, I paid $400,000 for the house. I put $250,000 in. I can get maybe $125,000 additional to the selling cost?
So it depends on what improvements you made, and sometimes you can over improve a property, right? So it just depends on the area, which is why, again, I have on here, definitely consider making the repairs if you're looking to sell your home. If you're working with the realtor like myself, you know, I'm going to be able to either help you figure out ways to finance or get funding to do those things, or we can kind of partner and do some different things where we'll make sure that house is going to be in tip-top shape so that you can get the maximum money that you deserve for that property, okay?
How do solar systems fit into that process?
Oh man, solar systems, it depends on what appraiser that you ask, but they usually do not add much value based on what you're paying for them, okay? So depending on the size of the home, you might pay $30,000, $40,000 for it. It may add $20,000 worth of value to the property. And also, I think what happens a lot with solar is that you have to look out, because a lot of people are leasing solar panels, right? And then they're financing them as well. And the average person here in Las Vegas only live in their home 7 years, right? So if you only want to add solar panels if that's going to be your forever home, and then buy a home with solar panels if that's going to be your forever home, or if the solar panels are already paid off, or the seller is going to pay them off at closing, okay? Because you don't want to assume that solar lease or the solar payment, because it also impacts how much a buyer can afford when you have the solar panel. So let's say this person and the neighbor, one person has solar and the other does not, right? So you want $500 for your house with no solar panels. They want $520 for their house with solar panels, but the buyer is going to look at that. Now, what Rachel is going to have to do is those solar panels, that monthly payment calculates towards their debt to income ratio, right? So now they might want the house with solar, but might not be able to afford it because of that payment messes up their debt to income ratio. So solar is very touchy for those different reasons, right? So, and then also people want to pick their own solar companies and different things of that nature. So if you buy solar personally and you're going to retire and live there, great. But don't look at that as increasing the value. I think in the future it can a little bit, but even sort of with pools, right? right now you may spend anywhere between $60,000 to $90,000 to put in a pool. From an appraiser standpoint, he's only going to give you an extra $25,000 on that appraisal. But your house may sell a lot faster because of that pool, especially right now that we're going into summer months and it's very, very hot, right? So there's not a lot of homes on the market with a pool right now. So if you have a pool and you want to sell, it's going to go really quickly. Absolutely. So, yeah. So, and this is why I always, when I list a home for sale, I have the seller, we get an appraisal before we list it on the market. Not a lot of realtors do that. They wait for the buyer to get the appraisal. But why do I want to wait for my potential buyer to tell me what my home is worth? It literally costs, and I pay for it for all my clients, $75 for me to go get a restricted use appraisal to know how much this property costs. My appraiser gives that back to me in 3 days. Why am I going to play game and not get that done ahead of time, right? And, you know, my broker, old school guy, he taught me that, right? He taught me that. So, and I've been implementing that ever since, right? Doing that and also getting the home inspected myself. If I'm selling a property, I don't want this buyer to come get the home inspected, tell me all these things that are wrong with the property, and it's my first time hearing it. I want to know what's wrong with the property first so I could either price the home accordingly based on that or get those situations remedied before I put it on the market. Very easy, simple stuff, right? When you really know the information and you kind of think about it, you're like, oh, like, why didn't I think of that? You know, because it's just, it helps speed up the process when selling your home. So definitely, to kind of conclude this, if you want to have a real estate transaction and you want everything to go smooth selling, definitely make sure you pick a very good real estate team, right? That's going to be the number one thing that you want to do there. Your real estate agent, your lender, people that are going to get creative and do everything that they need to make sure that you get approved and your loan gets closed. I've yet to bring a loan to Rachel that she cannot close, right? So once she gives you that pre-approval, unless you change your mind, go buy a car, do something crazy, she already looked at everything and you know, it's going to go your way. So unless something else changed, she already got that going. And also define what your dream experience is, okay? Because everybody is not concerned with getting the most money for a property. Maybe you're moving somewhere else and you need to get rid of the property quick, right? So talk to your real estate agent about that. If you're selling a home or if you're buying a home and you need to move in quickly or sell quickly, let them know that, okay? Always communicate your goals and expectations with your real estate team so that they know, and definitely ask questions, seek that clarity, and then adapt to a changing set of circumstances, right? So make sure you adapt, and also have all your documentation, just like when you're doing your VA benefits, right? You need to have all that documentation. Same thing with the real estate process. Maintain a positive attitude. And also, once you're done with the transaction, congratulate yourself. It's one of the biggest purchases and one of the biggest transactions, if you're selling, that you'll ever do. So take your time, congratulate yourself on going through that. But again, so there's a lot of options if you're looking to buy and sell, and also just invest in real estate where you could really utilize that VA loan, okay? So as a wealth building tool, like I said a little bit ago, and you have my information here, and Ken will give you some closing remarks from the veteran VA side of things. But thank you guys for this, and if you're interested, you guys probably already have my contact information, because if you registered, I've been the guy that's been sending you all those text messages and stuff like that. So you already know who I am, okay? Yeah, exactly. My apologies, but yeah, I was doing that. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you.